Hello, and welcome to my very first episode of Breathe More. So happy to be here. Thrilled that I'm finally doing it because literally it's been a post-it note on my wall on things that I want to bring to life for about 3 years now. And I finally decided now is the time. So, for today's first episode, I wanted to share a little bit about my story, who I am, what it is that I do, and my why. Some of you I know me, some of you may not. My name is Ana Lilia. I'm a breathwork and mindset coach and also an intuitive healer. And 8 years ago, I got certified to be a breathwork facilitator. All of that started because I was full in my healing journey. For so long, my whole life, basically, I have had anxiety and didn't even know it. I'm what they call a high functioning anxious person. I had symptoms, but I didn't think that it was anything unusual. And in hindsight, it's because almost everyone in my family also suffers from mental illness, whether it's depression, anxiety, a combination of both. And so the way that I was feeling or some of the physical manifestations of it, my family members were also experiencing that. We were talking about it, but it was just what was being mirrored back to me. However, in my 20s, basically 18 years ago, when I moved to LA, or 19 years ago, I noticed that I started to have a nervous tick, and I would count obsessively on my fingers constantly. And I recall talking to a college friend saying, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I don't know what this is about. It's kind of strange. I was also super hypervigilant. So I would leave my house and I couldn't remember if I had turned off the stove or the curling iron. So I would drive back to my house to make sure everything was turned off. And it always was. But there was this constant worrying that was happening in my mind that would never rest. My brain would always go to worst case scenario. Literally, if someone was late to a meeting or showing up to a commitment that we made, my brain would go to, oh my gosh, they're dead. Something happened. So I started to do some self-reflection, and also I was in major victim mentality. So I would blame everyone else for what was happening in my life. And it was suggested to me that I go to therapy because there's just a lot of anguish that I was living with. And so that's how I started. Well, that wasn't the beginning of my healing journey. It was when I moved to LA and I was becoming aware how growing up in a household with an alcoholic parent has a big impact in your life. Now with social media, we're all super aware and we have all of these tools and say all of these fancy psychological terms. But back then, which was in the early 2000s, I literally went to the library and I photocopied articles about children of alcoholics. And I just started to do my own research. And so that's when my healing journey started. And I started to feel validated and become aware of how my environment affected my reality and how I show up in the world. And then therapy was really huge, especially the type of therapy that I embarked on, which was intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy, which was kind of my first introduction to somatic awareness. My therapist, when she was asking me to reflect on something or remember something, would also make me aware of what was happening in my body. And I found that super fascinating. And with that, then all of these teachers started to come my way, healers, where I didn't even know what a healer was. And a friend of mine recommended that I make an appointment with this woman. And that's where I had my awakening. Shortly after, I dabbled in so many other modalities because I'm a very curious person. And also, if there's a potential solution out there to relieve me of my pain that I'm in, I want to try it out. And so breathwork was one of the later modalities that I came across, but it was one that literally I felt like my whole body just cracked open. During that time, I was depressed. I was really anxious. My relationship was falling apart. I was unhappy with what I was doing with work, where at the time I was working as an actress in commercials. And I was also very involved in my union and part of the negotiating committee and just creating a lot of impact within my union, but feeling unsatisfied. And with breath work, I just signed up for this class, not knowing what it was. I think it was called like a breathing meditation. And we were told to lay on the ground and just breathe to music. We took 2 inhales using our diaphragm, breathing a second time into our chest, and then exhaling. Right away, my whole body started to feel sensations like vibrations, tingling. My hands got cramped up. I was crying hysterically. Here I am in a room with strangers laying on the ground, and I was just crying. And I felt fully in my body. I don't know for the first time, but in a long time. And I just leaned into it. I didn't question it. I didn't get scared, even though it was really intense. And the beautiful thing was that afterwards, I felt like a new person. I felt so much lighter. I stepped outside and literally the sky looked brighter. The colors of the leaves, it looked greener and the sky looked bluer. And I'm like, what just happened? I feel amazing. I feel this high. I feel alive again. And I got home and right away I told my partner, lay on the ground, do this breathing, 2-stage breathing practice. And he too started to have like an experience and it was starting to get too intense and it kind of freaked him out. So he stopped. But I was hooked. Like I wanted to know when the next breathwork class was. And I started to use that as another tool in addition to my therapy, in addition to the other modalities that I was exploring. And it just allowed me to accelerate whatever I was currently processing. I was starting to tell friends and my sisters, and we would go to classes together. And then basically, I just decided that I wanted to learn how to do this and share how powerful our breath is with the rest of the world. And so within a year of discovering breathwork, I decided to get certified as a breathwork facilitator. And the rest is history. Here I am 8 years later, having held space for thousands of people in different capacities and helping them reconnect with a sense of hope, with their power, with their life force. That's one of the things that I love most about breathwork is that you're connected with your essence. You're able to get to a place where you quiet the noise and you get clear about things. Another beautiful thing that I loved about breathwork is that I felt empowered. I was doing the work. I was the one getting the messages and moving the energy. And all of this by manipulating the way that I was breathing. Why weren't people talking about it? Again, this was 8 years ago, so it wasn't as known as it is today. And so with that, not only has my whole life changed, basically, I quit my acting career officially this year. And I created this beautiful business where I'm helping people who want to be helped, because that was another thing, being the daughter of an alcoholic parent. I had this role of being the healer, of wanting to take people's pain, but I can't do that for people who don't want to be helped. And so it created a lot of tension in my life, a lot of tension in my family. And I was able to channel that gift that I was just born with of holding space for people into my own business and in the work that I do. So I'm very grateful that I just basically followed my intuition and what was lighting me up. And now I get to share this work with so many people. My work has definitely evolved, and we'll get into that in future episodes. But at the core of what I do, I help people accomplish their goals. So whether their goals are improving their well-being, healing from traumas, learning tools to better manage their anxiety or come out of their oppression. And then lately, I've also been helping people use their breath and different mindset tools to manifest. That's one of the things that I'm so passionate about helping people create their dream life. I am a living example that that is possible given what I encountered and the lack of resources that I've had and the lack of support, where I never gave up on little me. My nickname is Lily. So Lily, who always dreamed really big and was hoping to get out of that stressful situation. And so I have done everything that I have been able to help us realize those dreams. And so I, in turn, love to help people feel the same and feel worthy of going after whatever it is that they want and not letting what they encountered as children or even as adults, whatever circumstances they navigated, to define them if that's not how they want to see themselves. So that's a little condensed version of what got me to do this work. I'm so excited to continue sharing with you resources, tools, experiences that my clients have had, everything that I'm into. I'm all about still bringing in new modalities and sharing the people that I work with you. So you'll have a combination of so much resources and information and even meditations to help you live a calmer, more empowered, and abundant life. Thank you so much for tuning in for my very first episode of Breathe More. I'm looking forward to connecting with you real soon. And remember to keep breathing.